ReaderCon. I'm Catherine Valenti. I'm here to read to you from The Past is Red, which, as I'm recording this, is not out yet, but will be out by the time you see this. It is my new climate change dystopia book that came out of The Future is Blue, a short story that won the Sturgeon Award, and I think that I read at ReaderCon many years ago. I thought that I would read to you from the section that inspired the enamel pin that we gave out with pre-orders. All the enamel pins said 8th best daffodil. So this is that chapter. If you haven't read The Future is Blue or The Past is Red yet, the conceit is that all of the sea levels have risen and Tetley, our heroine, lives on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is just about the only land, so to speak, left. It's become a massive continent full of the trash of the fuckwits, our society. And people have been living on it for some time and sorting things into giant piles and living off the detritus of our world. The past is red. Chapter 3, The 8th Best Daffodil. There's a place not very far from Candle Hole I used to like to go sometimes. In the years between getting my name and the business with Brighton Pier, when my life was just busy being me and no one cared whose slut I was because I was my own slut. Thank you, sir, and kindly. I practically lived there. It suited me splendid since no one else liked it at all. People tend to huddle up in the useful areas of Garbage Town. It doesn't pay to live too far from any one of the 3 Ps of post-apocalyptic life: protein, precipitation, and potential. The great sorting was thorough and sensible. It made neighborhoods out of a floating crapfill, land out of waste. There's good work and good junk in Scrap Metal Alley, Upholsterton, Pill Hill, Bookbury, Rubbering, the Babydales. You could make a sturdy cottage out of television season box sets on the slopes of Mount VHS. There's good soil in the mountains, organic, bannockbone, taxidermia, seedville, and the spice tundra, or at least good components that could be convinced to become soil eventually. And of course, on the lawn, out past the matchstick forest, slowly encroaching on the cardboard flats, you could build a life out of those places, a trade, a family. But not Winditch. Winditch was barren. Winditch was worthless. Winditch was inorganic, impractical, inedible. Winditch creeped out even the creeps. Winditch was the best. So that was where I went after I pretty obviously couldn't stay in Candle Hole anymore. I had a long, hard think about my situation while I chipped away at the hot pink wax caul that had formed over the tin footlocker where I kept anything I actually cared about. Anything I minded my frequent flyer guests smashing up or stealing on their way out of my world back to self-righteous Dick Holopolis. My situation was fundamentally broken. I couldn't stay, but I couldn't go either. I'm a very famous person in Garbage Town, and Garbage Town only has a few famous people to choose from. Folks knew what I looked like. They knew my name. They knew what they were allowed to do to me. Carrying this face 3 feet out of Candle Hole was basically taking it out a personal ad to hook up with my own death. It's a delicate kind of thing to express, but you'll just have to believe me. The kind of violence human beings are willing to dish out indoors with neighbors on either side when they have to walk a fair distance to do it and keep their vinegar up the whole way is nothing next to what they'd have for me if I met them by surprise out in the open with no one to say, hey, that's enough. She's had enough. Technically, no one's allowed to kill me, but there's miles of ground to cover before you get to killing, technical or otherwise. No neighborhood would take me in. No one would feed me or offer me water from their rain barrel. And even if I wanted to try, there's not much of a crowd to disappear into in Garbage Town, excepting when a big fuck-off floating pier of lies and fairy lights turns up. And disguises are fairly tough to come by in the afterlife of planet Earth. All the hair dye diluted itself into the sea a long time ago, and I hope the jellyfish enjoyed their time as platinum blondes. I really genuinely do. I levered my footlocker out of its waxy grave with a thick cracking sound. I sat down next to it and laid my head on the lid. It was getting chilly out. I wondered idly where we were these days. Garbage Town moves with the currents. Gulf Stream, jet stream, I don't know. But you can tell when we float too far north or south because cold suddenly becomes a thing again. I closed my eyes and imagined we were in New England, maybe. Somewhere down below the waves slept Rhode Island or Vermont or vast fuck-witted Boston, with great big sharks passing silently under bridges on their way to Harvard. I saw a picture of Boston in a book once. I never knew so many bricks could even exist. I opened up my locker and there it was, just like always, not even any dust. I ran my fingers over it. Glass and rubber and plastic, meant to protect you from toxicity, fetid air, a poisoned life. Just what I was after. For a moment, I could almost smell rich, sweet gasoline. But that was long ago and far away. Memory petrol, which is all petroleum ever was when you think about it. A planet's memories of when it was young, burned up to keep warm and keep going. And underneath all that bright, soft fabric, pale, orange, covered in a print of white lilies and trailing green vines. The gas mask belonged to a boy I used to love called Goodnight Moon. The dress belonged to my mother. I didn't have any one bit of her heart, but I had her dress. Strappy, thin, coffee stains on the hem, saved for a wedding or a funeral. Whichever came first. Never much cared for dresses myself. Wouldn't have been much of a disguise if I did. So I walked out of Candle Hole in a gas mask and a gown, the unconnected hose hanging down past my belly button like a shriveled elephant's trunk. I could hear my own breath inside the mask, could see it fog the glass goggles. But I was safe. The other things in my locker were a dry stump of lipstick Mara-chan once gave me, my old backpack with St. Oscar on it, and a mixtape. I shoved the tape in the backpack and left the makeup. Food was going to be a problem, but I didn't want to think about that just then. So I didn't. I prayed instead. St. Oscar, protect and keep me. Let not the raccoons of evil fortune remove thy glorious silver lid from over my head. All hail thy grouchy countenance, as green and brown as life. Though I move upon the face of the world, my soul resides forever in thy great trash can with you, beaten and dull on the outside, but within infinite and abundant. Humans are trash, therefore we are holy. Humans are filth, therefore we are blessed. Amen. Winditch is the opposite direction from the Matchstick Forest and Flint Wheel Hill and all the places I went on my way to find my name when I was a child. Away from the leeward edge of Garbage Town, away from the sea. I picked through the deflated soccer balls and broken lacrosse sticks and ghostly hanging nets of Sportington Gap, the cans of ice skates, black pucks, tennis rackets, billiard balls like jawbreaker candy, the baffling novelty devices with "as seen on TV" stamped on their handles, and rusting free weights that once kept some drowned fuckwit thin and strong in the face of their constant fucking smorgasbord of a life. Dawn was on the move by the time I scrambled down a steep cliff face of burnt-out Jumbotron scoreboards. Home of the Tigers, Go Gators, Yokohama Bay Stars, Fly Emirates. I hung down by my fingertips and dropped the last few feet onto a patch of wet, moldy gym mats. Winditch is almost a cave. It goes under the gap for ages, holding it all up, thankless forever. A thin little rain started to fall as I slipped away under the golf club stalactites and into my cave of wonders. I took off the gas mask and breathed free. I'd be safe in here for a while. It felt so good and so giddy to be traveling again. Thin scraps of sunlight crawled down between raindrops and through the mouth of the scoreboard cave. Winditch lit up all over gold and silver, but mostly gold. Gold everywhere. Mr. Aladdin, eat your heart out. I walked through the heaps and mounds and pillars of treasure, running my hands over it, stopping to stare. My old friends, trophies. Thousands, millions of them, 1,000,000,000 victories. Cups, stars, orbs, numbers, little brass girls and brass boys in flapping brass togas, dancing or swimming or flying or standing proud on plastic red, white, and blue and green columns. Amazing. So amazing. All of it, always. Ah, the secret molten golden heart of Garbage Town. Hide me forever. I used to spend hours reading the plaques on the trophies, feeling the engraved names with my fingertips, sounding them out, imagining all these joyful fuckwits holding them tight to their chests. Gregory Ambrose, spelling bee participant. Kai-Hong Chen, most improved effort. Andrei Barenkov, better luck next time. Samantha Belfort, tried hardest. Lucy Price Kowalski, if you had fun, you won. Newport Volleyball Tournament 2029, sponsored by Al's Clam Shack. Aiden Kleinhauser, most at-bats. Isabella Jorgensen, 8th runner-up, Miss Daffodil Pageant, Junior Division. Terrence Hardy, best smile. Lucy and Samantha and Kai-Hong were all well and good, but I had a favorite. I found it after my father ran off wherever fathers go when they don't want you anymore. Dadbury, father's side. I couldn't relax and stretch out in my new digs till I found it. Oh, I hadn't come to Winditch in years, but it would still be right here, right where I left it. St. Oscar would do that for me. He's always liked me special. Farther in, farther up. Yes! I pulled it down off the pile. A gold vase full of gold roses. Rotted red ribbons swarming with fungus still clung to the gold handles for dear life. And the plaque read, Gretchen Barnes, world's best wife. What a girl Gretchen Barnes must have been to earn her title out of all the fuckwit billions. I didn't even know that was something you could be the best at. I was in awe of her. The whole world must have known her name, but not like the world knew mine. I sat down on the damp floor of that golden cave while the dawn piled in with a gas mask in one hand and Gretchen Barnes in the other, surrounded by all those fuckwit triumphs. Oh, I know they were all the worst kind of death-guzzling monsters, sick and swollen as blood blisters, stupid, hungry, toothful voids in the shape of people, but they must have loved each other so fucking much. Imagine being so alive and conscious of the importance of every single second of constantly winnowing life, every single simplest action and choice and effort and onrushing death, that you could carefully mark out little Lucy having fun and crown her for it like the queen of time. Imagine having so much energy to spare after finding food and shelter and clothing in some tiny goddamn scrap of company that you figured you'd make a beautiful silver cup. Not because some kid did the best job, but just because she tried the hardest. I try the hardest all the time, and everybody's just permanently fucking mad at me. Imagine having that much left over that you give one single ghostly shit about who was the 8th best daffodil. Down there in the dark under the mountain, my hair still sticky with blood, red scars up one leg and down the other. I couldn't fathom that much love. Those kinds of resources. I don't care about central heat or air or Tupperware or the best of Saturday Night Live DVD box set or pistachio ice cream or even penicillin. I have literally all the Air Jordans I could possibly ask for over in Shoeshire. The only thing I want back from the fuckwit world is this. This thing that has its grave in Winditch under the dead, burnt out home of the Tigers Jumbotron. I want to have that much left over. I want to have enough left over that it matters to me who has the best smile at the volleyball tournament. All their mountains of golden, wasteful love held up Garbage Town, which seemed like it meant something vital, but I was too tired. I couldn't quite get a hold of it. Maybe somewhere in all that dragon horde of positive thinking, there was the trophy I should have gotten for blowing up their wicked engines in Electric City. I tried hard, so goddamn hard. I participated the fuck out of that day. Tetley Abednego, better luck next time. After a while, I fell asleep with my arms curled around the world's best wife. I woke up to warm fingers pulling my hair away from my face. Are you her? A voice said, a stranger's voice, an impossible voice. No one followed me. I was so careful. I'm always so careful. No, I whispered, go away. I'm nobody. I'm the 8th best daffodil. I'm Gretchen Barnes. I opened my eyes to what I already knew I'd see. A young, angry person crouching above me with a huge, dark hurt in their eyes. I put that hurt there. Nobody else. It was my hurt. I owned it. I'd seen it plenty of times before. I was old friends with that hurt. A tall girl with shaggy brown hair and skinny legs and a faded tank top that said living for the weekend across the chest in yellow and a tattoo on her forearm. Bold, black, healed. Mr. Yuck between 2 X's. I braced myself. I knew what was coming. It was going to be terrible, but she was here and she was going to hurt me. Probably. I couldn't do anything about that, but just look forward to the part of my life where this had already happened and didn't matter anymore. Well, I said softly, you're here. I'm here. What are you going to do to me? Burn me, cut me, choke me? There's some fresh skin on my back if you want to leave a mark. Anything you want. That's the law. It's okay. I forgive you. The girl hesitated for a moment. I could see her whole personality in her jaw as she ground her teeth. Poor thing. She grabbed my wrist tight. My stomach muscles tensed up against the pain on its way toward them. And then the girl kissed me and kissed me and kissed me, and I kept still, knowing that a hidden knife was coming inevitably up between my ribs or in my kidney, but it never did. She just kissed me again and again, but not lovers' kisses, dry, friendly, joyful kisses, like we'd known each other all our lives and fate had kept us apart, but no longer, no longer. She kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my hands, my chin, even my nose, like a teasing grandfather before he steals it. This strange woman down in the dark kissed me and held me, and in between she whispered over and over, shh, it's okay, it's okay. And it broke me. I could feel myself crack like dried wax over a tin box. All those fists and shocks and people spitting in my face never once flayed me so hard as that total stranger holding me in the garbage town basement where no one could see. And just for a half of a second in that cave, it all did matter. It all mattered so much. Terrence Hardy's poor, dead, perfect smile, and how hard Samantha Belfort tried, and that old Greg Ambrose was there at that spelling bee, so very completely there, present and participating at that frozen, untouchable moment in time, a moment that got turned into a golden cup and lasted past the end of the world. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed The Past is Read, that excerpt from The Past is Read. You can find it wherever books are sold. You can find me on Twitter at Kat Valenti, on Patreon at Kat Valenti, and my website is katherinemvalenti.com. Remember that the Catherine is spelled funny. Have a beautiful ReaderCon, a lovely summer. I wish you all the very, very best. I wish you all the leftovers in the world.